Hey everyone, Corey Stoner from the Bakersfield Real Estate Group at Agent Core Realty again, and I'm here with
Cristy Carter. Hi guys, how are you? Hope everybody's doing good today.
And if you follow my page at all, you know Cristy's and I done quite a few of these, but it's been a little while.
It has, yeah. We've been really busy with work, yeah.
And just so you guys know, if you don't know us, Cristy is my primary lender that I like to work with.
Thank you.
And it's been a year and a half, 2 years since you came back in Bakersfield?
It's been 2 years.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. It's been over 2 years. I came back from Texas 2.5 years ago. Back to the good old Bakersfield. It always sucks you back in. You leave,
it does.
And then you come back, and yeah. So I've been back for a little over 2 years since we got back together and working together. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I say, she's my favorite lender to work with, and a lot of that is because I know we share the same values. I know when it comes to how we want to treat our clients, we're on the same page. I know how she works. She knows how I work. We communicate, and honestly. And even these clients, even the couple ones we have right now, they say, we've looked at some homes and there are some things going, we don't want to use anyone with Cristy. We don't.
Yeah, they put some offers in, and the listing agents wanted them to go to another lender, and they were so kind enough to not want to leave us. So
yeah,
that was
I think there were two. There were two that said you had to be. They wanted a cross qual, they were like, nope, Cristy's our girl. So
it's nice.
And honestly, when you have clients that say that. That's kind of people you want to work with.
Right? I agree.
Yeah.
Same thing with you. All the time. Absolutely.
So, how's business been? I mean, I've been asking other people on the live videos, this is Christmas time, December, and they say this is the slow time. Are you seeing that?
No. I don't think it's slow actually right now. I think there's a lot of people who are still refinancing, so that's been a big part of our business. And then the purchase side, I know there's a lot of less inventory that's normal, so it's been really difficult to get these clients who have been approved into a house, just because so many people are putting the same offer on the same house, and it's just super competitive.
And just for because I'm a stat person, I think in the average month during the summer there's somewhere between 1,800 and 2,500 homes for sale at any given time. I think right now we're sitting between 700 and 800. So
that's not a lot.
Definitely what we call a low inventory, and that leads to, like we talked about before, a little bit of a seller's market where there are multiple offers, things like that. So if you are wanting to sell,
it's a good time.
Do it.
It's a very good time.
Yeah.
Well, not to mention how many of those 800 houses are in the 500,000s.
Right.
How many are in the 200,000s, and the more realistic goal, in our medium price bracket with everybody in Bakersfield and Kern County, we're looking at anything below 300,000 is going like hotcakes, so fast. It's scary, actually. I don't like it. It makes me feel horrible for some clients. I'm like, oh, this is your 10th house. Don't give up. It's okay.
But that is conversations I have.
Yeah.
I think the current people we were working with too, they also had some weird selling side stuff on each one that we put in, and I did actually at one point sit down with them and go, guys, this one is not normal. Yes, lots of offers, that is, but the things that have been happening are not. And honestly, this last one, nice house, great house. We're actually going to be doing our home inspections later, and I'm going to try to get not a live video, but I'm going to get a video on that up.
You recently did a video with those clients.
I did.
You did?
I did when they were signing some of their buyer side disclosures, buyer side paperwork. So we're going to do that, and then we'll do it for a final walkthrough.
But it took them how many? It took them.
I think this was their fourth offer.
I
think this was their fourth offer.
Okay. The fourth offer, that's not very many offers, but it felt like 100 offers, to be honest, just the amount of back and forth that we have to do. But yeah, overall business is really good. It's great for home buyers right now to get out there. The interest rates are fantastic. Everybody knows that. Prices in the market are also stabilizing. I don't know if anybody's kind of paid attention to that, but things are really great right now. It's a great time to buy. Then you have your tax season coming up.
Yes.
I can't wait. I'm hoping I get some money back. But tax season's coming up.
I'm definitely not.
No?
Oh, no.
He's in the negative. He's got all these write-offs.
Yeah.
Ooh,
yeah. You had to bring up tax, now it's
I know, now
depression.
You're freaking out. The tax season's a positive thing when you think about it, because a lot of people do get money back that can be utilized for a down payment on a house. It can be utilized for closing costs on a house. And it opens up the door for more people who couldn't buy maybe 6 months ago because they didn't have $2,000 saved.
Right.
It can help them come
And
up.
that actually led to something I did want to like kind of mention, and that is, last couple of videos we've talked about down payment assistance and closing costs and things like that. And even though, and I know Cristy is big on, if clients are eligible, getting them down payment assistance, just with the way the market is with, not every seller is able or willing to pay all of someone's closing costs. They might cover half, something like that.
Yeah.
Is if you can have even a little bit, $2,500, $5,000 put away, it's a good thing, and it can really open up what you're able to do in terms of finding a house, putting an offer in.
Yeah, and that's what's huge right now for a lot of buyers. So when you're putting offers on a house, most of the time, and this is in my history and experience, and I'm sure it's the same for you because we work with the same buyers, you want closing costs covered. You don't want necessarily, sometimes people don't have, $10,000 saved. So what this down payment assistance can do, and the one I'm primarily talking about is called Cal HAFA, Cal HFA. So it will pretty much cover almost all the costs that you need as long as you're eligible for it. And if you can get a seller to pay maybe $2,000-$3,000 for your additional fees, I mean, realistically, you can hopefully come out of pocket nothing. And that was my experience when I bought my house. I literally didn't pay a dime out of pocket. It was great, and it was the best experience. So it's out there for everybody. But that's not necessarily what we're here to talk about.
No, but
Corey and I get off topic all the time.
That's...
Somehow we could talk business for hours.
We can, and we do.
Yeah, we do.
No, we're gonna talk about some of the costs though, and that is some of the upfront cost that when you're buying a house you do need to consider. Unfortunately, you can, even if you get into a house with no money, quote unquote, down, there are still some costs behind the scenes that you do have to have money to pay for. And I know the first one we're going to talk about is what we call the EMD, earnest money deposit.
Jinx! Get out of my head.
Or for us, we just say, the deposit. Seller usually is responsible for determining how much they want. It is negotiable, but it really, really makes your offer look weak if you do come in with a lower deposit. And
why is that? Because I'm just curious. Why? Like, let's say I'm a buyer, and you and I are shopping, and I don't have. Let's say I have $2,000 saved. I'm utilizing down payment assistance. Right. What if I'm scared and I don't want to put down $1,000? What's the difference between $1,000 and $2,000 to a person who's selling their house for a deposit?
If the loan were to fall out, if the escrow were to fall out during the process and after what we call contingency periods, which is a buyer protection period, really, essentially, just means the seller can keep that deposit. It's usually protected, like I said, for at least 3 weeks of any escrow, unless it's agreed to beforehand. But when you're doing an offer, and I've been in that situation fairly recently, where somebody did come in with, asking, hey, we want to pay a lower deposit. On an agent side, listing side, it immediately raises red flags because from the listing side, not from the buyer side, they're like, okay, if they can't pay the deposit we're asking,
can they pay for the rest of the cost?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And, sometimes, especially if the other side has a lender that they know, if the lender is mutually known or they call that lender, it might be okay. But generally, I recommend to go ahead, whatever deposit, unless it's out of bounds for the area. We've seen it. I think it was one that you were looking at when you were looking for a home.
Yes.
They asked for what our area would be.
They asked me for my whole down payment. That's right. When I was buying a house and Corey was helping me, they asked for my entire down payment for a deposit. And being a buyer, right?
That was a lot of money.
I was like, really? But I knew I wanted the house. I knew I was happy with the house, and I knew my financing was stable. Not because I'm a lender, but because if you are a buyer and your lender is confident with you and they can tell you, hey, look, if they want your whole down payment, you're good. I mean, unless you quit your job, you're good. So I was pretty confident with doing it, but I didn't like it at all.
And the reason for that is that was our lights are about to go out, so we get a little darker. Automatic lights. Yes. Oh, the whole thing went out. So I'm gonna move just for a minute.
Oh,
there we go.
There it goes.
We live in we are in an energy efficient building, so if we don't move for too long, lights go out. It's great. But back to that's an area thing. Bakersfield generally, I think we're
like 1% of the sales price.
1% of the sales price, but in some areas, especially the Los Angeles area, it is closer to 3%. Okay. So we see those from out of town agents, and a lot of times I'll call them and be like, yeah, we want the house, but we're not. If you really think you're getting an $8,000 deposit, you're crazy.
That's crazy. Well, and it's scary too all at the same time. But does it make your offer stronger so let's say I'm putting an offer on a house, and let's say you are putting an offer on the same exact house, and we have the same exact offer, but my deposit I'm putting more towards. Does that matter, or does
it will strengthen the offer.
Okay.
Because it shows that at the end you're willing to put what we call more skin in the game.
Okay.
You're willing to lose. You want the house bad enough that if your contingencies do get released and it falls out, you're willing to lose extra money.
Okay.
Now in the California purchase contract, the way it is set up, it's actually built in that you cannot lose more than 3%.
Oh.
So if you do,
if you put $50,000,
yes, there's another form that has to be.
It's a big number, 50.
Yes, but if you do additional,
I don't know why I said that high amount, but
if you put higher than 3%, there is an additional form that
can cover you.
That covers that, and it can actually. I believe we can actually. We've only done it a few times, really, where you can say yes, I'm willing to put this in as part of liquidated damages, or no, I'm not.
Okay.
But by the original contract, the most you can lose is 3%.
Okay.
But they can't take more from you. If you have a $1,500 deposit and it does fall out for whatever reason and you do lose it, they can't come back and say, oh, we want another $1,500 because that's 3%. It's
whatever the deposit is.
And now, unfortunately, the deposit does have to be paid up front.
Within
3 business days by the contract. That can be edited a little bit, but for the most part, within 3 days.
Okay.
And at least here in Bakersfield, it's still okay to deliver it by check. I have had people do money orders, and escrow companies will kind of give them side eyes for it, but it should still work. Cashier's checks, wires. But wiring here in Bakersfield is still kind of rare for that. Other places, it's more common, but be aware of wire fraud. But like I say, it is up front. Down payment assistance won't cover that part of it. You still have to have that to put. Depending on your loan, I think you can have somebody gift that to you, but you definitely need to have a paper trail to kind of show where it's coming from, right?
Yeah, so you can have a family member gift you funds to be applied towards any kind of closing cost figures. But the earnest money deposit, it's very important to know that when you are going to buy a house, and your lender will talk to you about this, you at least have to have that earnest money in the bank account. So always keep in mind, just a general, if you're going to go buy a house, just ensure you have at least 1% of that sales price in your bank account so you can put that deposit onto the home. Keep your offer strong, just like Corey was just saying, it could help. And that way when the time comes and the lender and the real estate agent's like, hey, it's time for your deposit, you're not like, oh my gosh, where do I get this money? How do I get it? Because that actually happens quite often. Corey and I actually just recently had a client where we had to maneuver and kind of adjust the way that they did their deposit because they did it in a way that we wouldn't be able to utilize it. So just always make sure you talk to your lender and your realtor about that. And then the second out-of-pocket cost, and this is generally a rule of thumb with most lenders locally, is you do pay for your appraisal up front. And what an appraisal is basically, let's say you're buying a house for $200,000. Obviously, you want to make sure your home is worth $200,000. You don't want to be buying a house that's worth $150,000 and you're purchasing at $50,000 higher than what it's valued at. So that appraisal is to justify and to ensure that the property that you're purchasing does meet that criteria. And it's also, the house is up to safety codes and there's no dangerous things that, could harm you in your sleep or something. Who knows? I don't know. But yeah, so the appraisal, it's going to be in your name if you're buying the house. When you're buying the house, and because that appraisal is in your name, nobody else really, I mean, it's yours. So it's an out-of-pocket cost that you pay, and that is a non-refundable fee if the appraisal comes in, everything's great, you move forward on the loan, and then for some reason you choose to cancel your purchase. And you can cancel for whatever, cold feet, you can cancel because maybe a termite report
Right.
didn't come back the way you were hoping it to. You notice there's too many repairs,
Right.
or, you know, emergencies happen, you know, family, life, anything can really happen that can change what you were wanting to accomplish. So just know, the appraisals, they're anywhere, every lender's different, but for the most part, let's say they're $500 out of pocket just as an estimate. You do also need to pay that up front. Those costs can be paid with a credit card, could be paid with a debit card, but at the end of the day, it is a cost that you pay up front.
And you'll hear us, the real estate professionals, that is the only, well, not the only, but that's where you'll see us stressed out. When we know the appraisals coming in, that's when we're like,
they're like holding their breath.
Yes.
I hope it looks good. And most of the time they do. It's very rare. I haven't had too many purchase appraisals come in low. The only time I did this year was literally when, for some reason, this seller wanted to sell their house for way more than it was worth, and they were just crossing their fingers and saying, I hope this sticks, and it didn't stick. There was nothing in the market that sold for what they were hoping to buy it for. So that's where Corey, at the end of the day, when you're utilizing him as your real estate agent, that's where he's going to tell you, look, if you want to put an offer in on this house based on your comparables in a 3-mile radius, it's gonna appraise. I mean, the numbers are here. There's no reason why it shouldn't. If you want to put in, let's say I'm selling the house for $200,000, but again, the market's very competitive right now, so you want to offer me $205,000. Corey will also then at that time ensure that it can still come in with a value of $205,000, because there's nothing worse than offering a higher sales price, but then there's nothing to justify that. So at the end of the day, we're breaking even, and it wasn't even worth it at that time. And then you lose $500. Nobody's going to be happy.
Yeah, no one's going to be happy with that at all. But sometimes there are, even if there aren't comparables, and it's rare. It's a case by case basis. If a home is very desirable, if it's a home that has 3, 4, 5, 6 offers on the first day, appraiser's going to look at that and go, oh, okay, there's something about this house that justifies somewhat of an increase. But I've been, and I have with even our current clients, I tell them, look, I'm sure this house will appraise at this price. It'll probably appraise at this price, but don't go beyond that because there's nothing to justify it.
Yeah, and that's a good real estate agent right there, protecting you and your money. That's what I think.
Now, she's brought up great, describe the appraisal process, and say the big thing is that it's a non-refundable fee. There's a few other non-refundable fees in the process, and that's your home inspection and your wood destroying pest inspection. Both are definitely recommended in almost any deal, unless a house is 5 years old or less. Even the wood destroying pest, I would even have you, if you were buying new construction, have you have a home inspection, because
for your protection, get a home inspection.
And, our favorite home inspector, just within the last couple of months, was posting pictures on his social media of a house that had just been built. Literally, they had just finished it, and he did a home inspection. They didn't seal any of the flashings on the roof.
See,
so
you can buy a new house, and it's still you can't go off of trust. At the end of the day, you got to do your stuff, your own inspections, because everybody wants to sell their house. Everybody wants to make the profit, and they don't want to spend as much money on pocket if they can't. So definitely, home inspections are very, 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 very good to get, and they usually round off at what, $350?
Between $350, $450, depends on the square footage of the home.
Okay.
It does, and home inspection is not designed to scare you. If there's something bad that should scare you, they're going to find it. Yeah. But it's more there because, and that's why we have a preferred home inspector that we use on all our deals. But obviously, buyers are free to use whoever they like. But they will sit down at the end of the inspection with the buyers, and they will tell you, this is normal maintenance. This is, okay, it's a little bit worn, but it should be fine. Just keep an eye on it. And then they will tell us straight up, you know what, this is a problem. you probably should ask the seller to fix this.
Yeah.
So, and I saw a meme that they posted and I thought it was hilarious. And it basically said, it was one of the ones with the flame phase and we're about to get dark again. But he said, wow. All right.
It's an apocalypse.
It's an apocalypse. Power outage.
Just
Make this
kidding.
world. It basically said, you know, like an angry face, you ruined our deal with your inspection. And it said back, no, you ruined the deal by not taking care of your house.
Yeah, taking care of a house is a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but it's absolutely worth it in the end. But home inspections, absolutely get them. I would never tell anybody, even if your house is brand spanking new, you just got it built, it's a custom house, it doesn't matter. Always do that. You always want to protect yourself. So that would be an out-of-pocket cost as well. And then your termite.
And that's not inexpensive. That is only about between $60 and $80 depending on the company. So there are some upfront costs that you do have to pay, even if you're gonna get a nothing down. So it's really whatever your deposit is, plus whatever cost your appraisal and whatever inspections you have done.
Yeah.
So,
and keep in mind too, so even let's hypothetically say you're buying a house, your earnest money deposit's $1,000, your appraisal,
That's a nice deposit.
Hey, it happens. It happens. And then he's saying nice because he thinks it's too low, but whatever. Let's say it's $1,000, okay? Keep math simple. And then your appraisal is $500. That's $1,500 out of pocket that you are throwing out, right? Let's say you use down payment assistance and the seller is also contributing towards your closing costs as well. And let's hypothetically say, in a perfect world, which it can happen, it happens often, that you have enough credit to where you can get some of that money you put in up front, you can get some of that back at the end. So it's definitely, it's available for, potential money back to you. It's never guaranteed, but that is always an option. It happened to me when I bought my house. I got my whole deposit back.
I've seen that happen. And one thing to keep in mind, that deposit just doesn't go away. That deposit's actually added towards your down payment
or closing costs. Yeah. So any of that money that you're putting towards as a down payment will absolutely be applied if we can source it. And sourcing it means it has to come from sourceable funds. Cash under the mattress doesn't count. And hey, if you're watching this at home right now and you are thinking about buying a house and you have money under the mattress, go put that money in the bank.
Right now.
Let it season for a couple months. And I'm sure every lender could agree to that right there. Is, I know banks, some people don't like the banks, but to buy a house, we got to have some money in there. So
right.
Put that money in the account after Christmas, I'm sure, because obviously we're gonna buy a bunch of stuff.
That's right. Absolutely.
I still have to go shopping.
Me too.
Hi.
Me too.
Yeah.
Okay. Any kind of last thoughts that you want to throw out there?
No, other than Merry Christmas. I hope everybody has a really great Christmas this year, and I hope your tax season you get money back. That's my two wishes for everybody.
And I wish everyone a happy holidays, Merry Christmas as well. Same with the taxes. And if you are looking to buy a home, sure, DM me, let me know. Love to help you out, but really, seriously, for a lender, call her. She'll help you.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
All right.
I think Chastity's in there. Hi, Chastity.
And Christina.
Yes. Hi, guys.
She's in Texas now, but she used to be one of our agents, and she
she's
actually
in
came
Texas?
here just for the weekend during our holiday party.
That is
so,
sweet.
Christina, good to see you.
Yeah, Texas is great. It's got all kinds.
Yeah, that's where you are.
Yeah, San Antonio. I loved it.
Yeah, she keeps telling me she's going to take me to a boardwalk down there, and she hasn't done it yet.
What was it called? Why am I already forgetting? It's
been-
called Riverwalk. Wait. It's like our Riverwalk. Yeah, I think it's called. I'm already forgetting. It's already been 2 years I've left. Anyways.
Yeah, I think it was 2 years ago. You promised you were going to show me what that was like.
Yeah, go check it out. Anyways, if anybody's in San Antonio, go check it out. Riverwalk. It's great. Anyways. Well, Merry Christmas, guys. Thanks again.
Thanks for tuning in.
Have an awesome day.
Bye.
Ciao.